Hey YouTube, it's Guy. Today I decided I'm going to put together a little state of the collection video. It's been quite a while since I've done one, and I figured, hey, it's probably time. Uh, Basically, my current collection, it's not very large. If you look down at the table here, these are the three main watches that are in my collection right now, the watches that I wear most of the time. I have a few others, but primarily what we have is from right to left, my Seiko SKX007, my Hamilton Khaki Field 38mm, and my Casio G-Shock DW5600. Now, if you've been following the channel for the last few months at least, but maybe since the beginning, you're probably noticing that the Rolex Explorer that I bought, I guess going back almost 3 months ago now, is seemingly absent from the table. Well, I decided to sell that watch. I came to the conclusion that for me, it's really just not the right watch. I couldn't justify having approximately $6,000 tied up into a watch that I wasn't absolutely positively in love with. Now, I did like the Rolex Explorer quite a bit. It's an extremely high quality watch. The craftsmanship is far and above any other watch that I've ever owned. And it's not even close. But there were a number of things that I did not like about it. And again, I couldn't justify having so much money tied up into a single piece that I didn't wake up and look forward to putting on every day, and just, again, I wasn't 100% in love with. Now, there's probably going to be some comments, potentially even some arguments from people saying that I'm crazy, that it's one of the best watches that you can get at that price point. It's a fantastic watch, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a person of so much means that I can afford to have something that I'm just lukewarm about. If I was extremely wealthy and I could just have that in my collection and not really care about the fact that I have more or less $6,000 sitting in my box more days than not, sitting in my watch box more days than not, I would have kept it. I mean, it is a keeper if you can afford it. And while I could afford to purchase it, I couldn't, again, afford to justify keeping something that I just wasn't in love with. So I sold that watch, and pretty much right now, again, this is what I have in my collection. A few things I want, this is going to be more of a why did I sell my Rolex video than it is probably about the watches that I currently have. The watches that are on the table have all previously been reviewed. I've reviewed the Casio G-Shock, I've reviewed the Hamilton, I've reviewed the Seiko SKX. All three of them, I've reviewed them extensively. There's not a whole lot to say about those watches, other than I love them all. And it's funny, you could say, well, how could you love an SKX, but you couldn't love a Rolex Explorer? Well, I accept the shortcomings of the SKX because of its price. I accept the shortcomings of the Hamilton because of its price. And I accept the shortcomings of the G-Shock DW5600 because of its price. Now, again, I'm just not a person of means where I could buy a $100,000 Patek Philippe and look at that Rolex Explorer like pocket change. Like, I mean, it's all relative. How much money you have, what you can afford, what you're comfortable with in your personal finances is all relative. And for me, that $6,000 Rolex Explorer was, by far the most extravagant thing I've ever bought. Other than, a car or a house, I've never spent that much money on anything. So in my mind, it had to be perfect for me to justify wanting to keep it. But I do love these watches that are on the table, despite their shortcomings, which they all have. They all have shortcomings. And I would have loved the Rolex too if I had so much money that I wouldn't have missed it. You know what I mean? Like, the SKX, for example, is a $200 watch. I'm not going to miss $200. I'm not going to feel like it was $200 not well spent, even though there are some shortcomings to this watch. Let's just say, for example, there's, I don't know, chapter ring and bezel alignment issues. At $200, I can overlook that shortcoming because A, Seiko is known for its poor quality control, and that's just par for the course with these watches, and B, my expectations aren't that high. Now, could you say my expectations for the Explorer were too high? Yeah, I suppose you could say that. But, I mean, it's my money. You know what I mean? I'm entitled to have whatever expectations I want, I guess. And you are too. So, if it didn't meet my expectations, it didn't meet my expectations. I don't think that I'm necessarily wrong or there's anything wrong with me for expecting perfection. I mean, in my defense, Rolex's marketing is the Rolex way. I mean, there's a whole book called The Rolex Way that my authorized dealer gave me. And it just talks about how everything Rolex is perfection. And that watch wasn't perfection. It was very, very close. Like I said, extremely high quality, extremely good craftsmanship. But in the end, it wasn't perfection. And one of the things that was not perfect about it was I just did not find it comfortable. Take, for example, what I'm wearing today. This is my Seiko 5 SNZG13. By far, it is not a perfect watch. There's nothing perfect about it, other than maybe the price, other than the fact that it's $100 and it's a decent watch for $100. There's nothing perfect with it. But, like I said, I found the Explorer to be rather uncomfortable to wear. I don't have that problem with this watch. I don't find any of the watches on the table uncomfortable to wear. I don't get the sense when I'm about to pick out which watch I want to wear for the day, like, I don't really want to wear this G-Shock because it's uncomfortable. I was getting that, I don't know, sensation when I'd get up and I'd start, getting ready for the day and I'd slide a watch out of my watch box. It would be like, gee, do I really want this watch on for 10, 12, 14 hours today? I mean, I felt like a lot of the times I was just putting it on because I felt obligated, because I had spent so much money and I owed it to myself, I owed it to the watch, I owed it to my bank account to actually wear it. And, having to jiggle it around on my wrist every 20, 30, 40 minutes because it was uncomfortable. And it was not too tight, as a matter of fact. The sizing on it was fine. The issues that I found, which I have mentioned in the previous reviews with that watch, was that because everything was so crisply finished, particularly all the edges of the case, the edges of the bracelet, everything was very crisp, not sharp, not jagged, not like it was going to cut you, just crisp. Everything was very hard-lined, hard edges. And just bit into my skin. I live in Southwest Florida, and humidity is through the roof. The heat right now is ridiculous. And 15, 20 minutes outside with that watch on, starting to sweat a little bit, wrist starting to swell ever so slightly. It would just bite into my wrist, and I'd have to loosen the strap with the Easy Link extension, and then it would be flopping around, and then I'd tighten it back up when my wrist cooled down, and it was just a non-stop back and forth of fighting with the watch for comfort. That's probably one of the main reasons why I just decided that, this isn't for me. So I decided to get rid of it. Anyway, enough about that, I guess. We'll talk about the stuff that I do have. Now again, as you saw on my wrist, I do have this Seiko 5 SNZG13. This watch does not get worn a whole heck of a lot. And I haven't had it that long. Maybe, I don't know, I think I got it about a month ago. Primarily I got it so that I could do a review video on it. In particular, comparing and contrasting to that Hamilton khaki field there sitting in the background. Which I'll probably do a dedicated video on these two watches side by side. But besides the SNZG that's on my wrist, and a couple of other little things that are in my watch box that I didn't feel like dragging out. These are the main three watches that I basically could say that I love them. Are they irreplaceable? No, they're not irreplaceable. I mean, if Seiko came out with a watch that was very similar in aesthetic to this SKX that included hand winding and hacking, maybe on a better bracelet, as you can see, I don't even keep it on the bracelet. I keep it on this Blue Shark Alpha Shark Vintage Bond NATO strap. I could replace it with something a little bit nicer. But, that said, I do really, really enjoy these three watches. In particular, the Hamilton is the one that I'm getting the most wrist time with lately. Probably, 75% or better. The G-Shock gets worn on those occasions where I'm going to be doing something that I am, concerned about the safety of my watch. Maybe if I go to the gun range, for example, I don't know, is it a bad idea to shoot a heavy recoiling 357 Magnum with a somewhat delicate automatic movement wristwatch on? I can't say for sure that that is in fact going to be a problem, but I'm not going to risk it. I have a G-Shock. That's what it's for. If I want to go to the driving range and hit golf balls, I'm gonna throw that G-Shock on. If I happen to go to the gym, which I haven't done in probably 6 months, shame on me, that's the watch that is going to find its way onto my wrist. Most of the rest of the time, it's the Hamilton that I'm wearing. And occasionally, just to change things up, I'll wear the SKX. I really, really do like the SKX, but for whatever reason, the Hamilton is getting a little bit more wear than the SKX. But I'll try maybe, I don't know, once a week at least, to mix it up and throw the SKX on my wrist and at least wear it for a day, maybe on the weekends or whatever. Or, maybe I'll wear the Hamilton for 3 or 4 weeks and then I'll wear the SKX for a week, something like that. It's, it's just not finding the wrist as often as the Hamilton is for whatever reason. Now, what do I have planned for the future? I don't really know. That's another reason why I wanted to make the state of this collection video, state of the collection video, is to talk to you guys about what I should do in the future. Honestly, I do not have much in the way of watches left to review. I do have some ideas for some content that is not going to explicitly be dedicated watch reviews, and hopefully you guys like that stuff, but I expect that it's not going to be nearly as popular as a dedicated wristwatch review. I think that'll probably bring in the most traffic. I think that will probably entice more people to subscribe to the channel and ultimately help the channel grow. But I just don't have much left to review. So like I said, I have some ideas about content that I want to do. In the past, I did a review video on my multifunction time grapher. I want to do and that video was just to talk about how to check the accuracy in multiple positions of your automatic and mechanical wristwatches using that tool. I would like to do sort of a philosophical video talking about the importance or the non-importance of accuracy to us. Some people, I've seen this discussion on message boards and forums many times, and it has become clear to me that some people just do not care about the accuracy of their wristwatch outside of the fact that it's not broken. If their watch is running 20 seconds fast, 30 seconds fast, 40 seconds fast, a lot of people will say, I don't even know how what kind of time my watch keeps. As long as it's in the ballpark, and that's good enough. On the other hand, people like me actually care quite a bit about what the accuracy is. So anyway, I want to talk about that subject in a future video. I have some other ideas, again, of not necessarily watch review videos. But what I wanted to say is, what do you guys think moving forward I should do? I mean, number one, if I want to do more product reviews, the channel has to make more revenue. I can't afford or justify buying all kinds of watches over and over and over again solely for the purpose of reviewing them. And then generally I end up selling them at a loss, and I don't recover that loss due to, ad revenue or anything. So what do you guys think moving forward? How do I get over that hump? I'd love to review, let's say, a Seiko Turtle SRP, 775 or 777, one of the Seiko Turtle dive watches. I'd love to review and compare and contrast that to an SKX. But I don't know if I want to own that watch. I don't particularly have a need for a large collection of watches. What I want is more or less what I have. I want a few watches that I really like that I will wear all the time. Like I said, I have that. I have the Hamilton. I really like it, and I wear that watch all the time. I occasionally wear the SKX, a watch that I really, really like. And I wear the G-Shock for those specific occasions where I think it's necessary to wear a G-Shock. So, if I were to buy, what is the Turtle SRP model go for these days? I think it's in the $300 ballpark or something like that. If I go ahead and buy one of those, and I do a review video on it and maybe a comparison video, and in the end I decide, this watch isn't for me, I sell it. I take a 20-30% loss, and yeah, it's content for the channel. This is something that I enjoy doing. I like making these videos, so there's that. But, I don't like throwing money away either. So do you guys have any suggestions on what I could do? Is there any way I could get more Patreon subscribers? I have, I don't know, 2 or 3 right now, which is cool. I really appreciate them. But, it's effectively nothing. If I put a donate link down in the notes sections of the videos, would people do one-time donations to my PayPal? Or maybe I could do video requests if you wanted me to talk about something in specifically. If you wanted my opinion on something, I would, for a donation of whatever amount you're comfortable with, I would be happy to make those videos for you. But would people even do that? I'm not sure. I only have roughly 1,000 subscribers right now, and I'm, just having trouble coming up with future content ideas. So I'd like to hear what you guys think I should do in that regard. So yeah, what have we talked about so far? The Rolex we've talked about, the current watches that I have. I'm going to do a chapter 2 video of this Hamilton in the future, probably the near future. I had reviewed this, not this specific Hamilton, but a Hamilton before, same model, but it was on a leather strap instead of the metal bracelet. I sold that as a part of selling a number of the watches that I owned in order to drum up the money, not all of it, but a portion of the money to purchase that Rolex. So I bought it again because I missed it so much, and this one is now on the bracelet, and I think I can justify doing a chapter 2 review of that because it's on the bracelet, and I know a little bit more about it, and it's a great watch, and I think it deserves a new video, another video, if I'm being honest. So that's something I'll do. One thing I do want to touch on regarding the Rolex Explorer, I found out, and I probably should have known, when I purchased that again, I sold off the vast majority of the watches that I had in my collection. My Seiko SARB 033, my Hamilton Khaki Field, I don't know, 4 or 5 other watches. I sold them all, and of course I didn't have $5,000 worth of watches, but $1,000 or $1,500, and that money went towards the purchase of my Explorer. When I was thinking about buying the Explorer, I heard from several sources like, oh, Rolex is like one of the best buys that you can do in the watch world because they hold their value. They don't lose their value. Things of that nature, that sentiment. I heard it over and over again. They hold their value so well, they don't lose their value. Well, I don't know. That's not my experience. I mean, I had the watch for 3 months, and when I decided to sell it, I didn't get anywhere near what I had in it back. Now, what did I pay for that watch? $5,899, I believe. I got basically 10% off of MSRP from the authorized dealer that I bought it from. I bought it for $5,800. I sold it for much less than that. We'll just say I lost close to $1,000. What is that? Maybe 15% I lost, call it 20%, something in that ballpark. I guess that's better than some other quote-unquote investments, but anyway, I don't want to say I was misled. Even the authorized dealer, I had visited on a number of occasions and spoke to them before buying that watch, and it was like, well, what's the resale value on these if I decide? Because I know how I am. I've extensively collected firearms in the past, and I like to purchase a firearm. I like to try it out. I like to test it. I like to fire it, carry it, whatever. And I need some time to decide if it's a keeper or not, because you don't know from picking it up in the store and handling it for 10 minutes and whether or not you're really going to like everything about it. So coming from this background of having collected different things, again, firearms, I was a comic book, or still am, I guess, a comic book collector. I like to buy and flip things. I just know how I am. So I was talking to the authorized dealer, and I was like, what if I decide down the road here that it's not for me, or I want to get something else, or whatever. And he's like, oh, Rolex is it's like the safest investment in watches. They don't hardly lose any value, this, that, and the other thing. Shame on me, I guess, but that wasn't that wasn't what I found. I had people offering me $3,000 for the watch. Uh, I think that was my worst offer. Yeah, someone offered me 3 grand for it, and they thought like that was a reasonable offer. They were like, yeah, I mean, if you paid full retail, you're not going to be happy with my offer, but this is what I'd give you, 3 grand. I mean, I didn't pay full retail. I didn't pay 65.50, which is the MSRP of that watch. But 10% off of that, 58.99, 5900, and 3 grand. I was like, holy cow! I think that was my first or second offer. I got 5 or 6 different offers from private collectors and dealers, and as a matter of fact, a dealer was the one that gave me the best offer, and it was probably the safest transaction as far as getting paid and not having to worry about any sort of fraud or anything like that. So that's what I went for. And actually, a private dealer, not an authorized dealer, a private dealer was the one that gave me the best offer. I was pretty surprised, but it was a little over $1,000 less than I had paid for the watch. So, is the idea that Rolexes hold their value a myth? Am I just really bad at reselling things? Is the truth that it holds its value if you keep it for 20 years? I mean, I don't know what the answer to that is, but I thought that I would mention that. Yeah, I mean, I didn't take a total bath on it, but I didn't do good. And that's probably one of the other issues, going back to not the concept, but the discussion of, what should I do moving forward? Again, I just don't want to throw money away. I don't want to waste money, despite the fact that I enjoy making these videos, despite the fact that I appreciate all of the feedback and the comments that I get from the viewers. I'm not made of money. I'm just a, average income, middle income, whatever person, family. And, I can't keep this floating forever. Another, I guess, thing in that regards is how to move forward. I have one viewer that has been super generous and has sent me several watches over the course of the last 6 months for me to review. They lent me their Alpinist. I reviewed that watch. They lent me their Citizen Nighthawk. Actually, I bought them as a gift the Flightmaster that I reviewed. I paid for half and he paid for half. It was a watch he said he wanted and he was thinking about getting it. And I was like, I'd like to review that. How about I pay for half, you pay for half, and then after I reviewed, I'll send it to you. Because he had helped me out so much with stuff to review, I thought that would be a nice thing to do. So anyway, I guess my point is, are there any viewers out there that would be interested in having me review their pieces? If you have something that you want to review, want to have reviewed, you want to see it on camera on YouTube, you want to get my opinion on it and have me get in depth on it, I'd be interested in doing that. You can contact me via, I guess, the email. It's in my about section, or it's just JustBlueFish@gmail.com. Reach out to me if you want to, discuss anything like that. Maybe you guys happen to know somebody that manufactures watches or accessories, straps, whatever. Reach out to them and tell them about my channel and suggest that they send me some product. That would be cool and helpful. All right, well, that's basically probably more than long enough for this episode of the State of the Collection. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I, again, enjoy making these videos. I enjoy all of the feedback that I get from you guys. It's almost entirely 100%, almost 100% positive feedback, and that really means a lot to me. It makes me want to continue to produce content. But like I said, it's starting to get a little bit more difficult here. So hopefully we can come up with some ideas to keep moving forward. All right, guys, take care. I will have at least a video a week coming for a little while. All right, bye now.